So welcome back to Unpacking the New Grade 6 Language Arts Curriculum. We're focused on writing this week. I do a similar format with the grade 4s and the grade 5s and learned a few things this week. And so I hope what I share with you will work a little more efficiently. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we want to acknowledge that this gathering is taking place on traditional treaty lands across the province of Alberta, home to many diverse Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Spanning generations, acknowledgement of the land is a traditional custom of Indigenous peoples and an important part of reconciliation. It gives voice to the authentic history of the land and its original people. Honoring the land in this way acknowledges the story of the creation of this country in a way that has historically been missing. So, hi, Kelly Gibbs here. I think I've met all of you. I know Charlene's down in Lethbridge. Karen, whereabouts are you again?
I'm with Northland. I'm in High Prairie.
Right, thank you. And Erica, whereabouts are you?
I'm at a private school, Corwood Academy, in the neighborhood of Dovercourt.
Oh, yes, of course. So thank you. So a little bit north, south, and central. And of course, I'm in Edmonton myself. So we've discussed the overview of the language arts curriculum in 4 to 6. And actually our overview was just the grade 6 curriculum. We did comprehension last week. And today, of course, we're going to focus on writing, all of the spirals that work together: organizing idea, guiding question, learning outcome, and CUS. So there's your link if you want to go to New Learn Alberta. We have to remember that within a language and literacy program, when we structure it in a way that encompasses all of the different areas that we need to teach kids, and then we also add, which is missing from the 5 pillars of literacy, is written expression. We've talked about Scarborough's reading rope and how those areas of language comprehension and word recognition are really important to build skilled readers. And this was the work of Hollis Scarborough, that she put this together in 2001. And breaking down each one of those strands of the rope to look at background knowledge, vocabulary knowledge, language structures, verbal reasoning, literacy knowledge, but also keeping in mind that we need to look at those separate areas of word recognition to include phonological awareness, decoding and spelling, to get to sight recognition. I see Bonnie has joined us. Bonnie, I just saw you yesterday. Glad to see you again. So we pull those 2 strands together, we weave it together. Anything woven has much more strength. And so we don't want to let any of those threads fray. But we want to get to that skilled reading. One of the things that I want to talk to you about today, it comes from the work of Joan Sedita. Joan Sedita this work was published, not published. It was just there on the International Dyslexia Association. And what we find here is that in the writing rope, she's now expanded it, created this wonderful book called The Writing Rope, a framework for explicit writing instruction in all subject areas. So she focused on the writing rope as a complementary framework to the reading rope. So her areas in there are critical thinking, syntax, text structure, writing craft, and transcription. And we'll go over each one of those as we talk about it in terms of the curriculum. I'm on the wrong screen. There we go. Watch out for those frayed ropes. Joan Sedita says significant attention is paid to the multi-component nature of skilled reading, the reading rope. while writing tends to be referred to as a single monolithic skill. I'd like to suggest a model that identifies the multiple components that are necessary for skilled writing. A similar rope metaphor can be used to depict the many strands that contribute to fluent, skilled writing. It should be noted that instruction for many skills that support writing also support reading comprehension. So, in the language arts curriculum, the organizing idea for writing from kindergarten grade up to grade 6 states, ideas and information can be articulated accurately and imaginatively through the use of writing processes and an understanding of the writer's or the author's craft. I find that really interesting. Part of my mind goes to some of the vocabulary used here. Ideas and information can be articulated. Okay, so it doesn't specify what that is, but it can be articulated accurately, and I'm assuming that's through organization, text structure, spelling, and imaginatively. So that's the one that gives me pause, and I go, oh, okay, what does imaginatively mean? Like, where does that interpretation show up in curriculum? So pay attention to that as we talk about it. And this is done through the use of writing processes. Okay, so what is the process of writing? And the understanding of an author's craft. So looking into various types of authors. As text, and this is the front matter from the ELAL curriculum, as text creators, students explore ways to share their ideas, responding to texts they encounter and to the world around them. Throughout English, language arts, and literature, students apply writing processes and language conventions to organize ideas and communicate effectively in a variety of digital or non-digital contexts. So I wondered if it was intentional to say digital first before non-digital. This is just where my mind goes to. So I wondered if there was a specific intention to that. But the whole idea of using writing and language to organize ideas, I think is wonderful. So overall, writing is communicating and demonstrating understanding. So these are the strands of the writing rope, the critical thinking strand. That's where students begin to learn about what their ideas are. They learn how to expand on those ideas, how to gather information, and specifically the writing process is identified there, and how deeply it goes in grades 4, 5, and 6 is interesting, but we'll talk about that as we get into the curriculum piece. Organizing, drafting, writing, revising. The background knowledge is important because if you have a student who's trying to write about something that they like, let's say there's a video game they particularly like, but they don't know enough about it, they're not going to be able to write too in-depth about it. And what do students want to communicate through their writing? Are they informing? Are they entertaining? What are they wanting to do? And the types of writing that we talk about in the writing rope: summaries, personal responses, prompts, research tests. I already see some of this language from Sadita's writing rope reflected in what I know about the grade 6 curriculum. The syntax strand. This is partly about the mechanics, grammar, syntactic awareness, sentence elaboration, punctuation. And then part of that, even within there, are those sentence structures: simple, compound, complex. Text structure strand, narrative, informational, opinion structures. So from a highest level of achievement HLAP test that is in Edmonton Public and surrounding area, there are different types of text structures that we are asking students to write about. Paragraph structure, main ideas, supporting ideas, patterns of organization. So what is being included in the writing that helps organize ideas? And then linking words and transition words. Linking words would refer more to the type of connectors that are used to create different kinds of sentences, from simple, which doesn't use linking words, to compound with and, but, so, and transition words, linking words as well that get into complex sentences. And then, of course, the use of transition words going from sentence to sentence. Writing craft strand. So this might be referred to as that creative piece, the word choice. If those of you who may remember Bill Martin and the work that he did in the texts he wrote that were used in classrooms for writing, for reading, he would use within his writing, for example, the word POW wouldn't be written as POW, it would be POW, it would be big and it would be colorful and it would be highlighted in a way that looked powerful. And then, of course, who are you writing it for? What's the purpose of the task? And then literary devices, which also goes into word choice that I've talked about. Transcription strand is that piece of how are you getting the information onto paper or onto a digital. And so that focuses on spelling, that sound symbol awareness, the phonics, the phonological awareness piece if needed. Looks at doing handwriting. Could that be cursive writing? Are we doing that at the grade 6 level? And keyboarding. So can I just ask really quick, are you able to see my screen? You're not having any problems with it going in and out? Okay, I keep getting this message. I don't know if you see it. On my screen, it says participants can now see your screen. And I'm like, you mean they couldn't?
It's been perfectly good.
Good.
It's been perfect the whole time.
Oh, good. Did you see that little message on there? Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me thing. All right, so transcription is getting it onto a medium that others can read. And I always find it interesting if you do transcription that can be from speech to text, but can you do from text to speech? Does writing need to be done for others to listen to hear, so that someone, well, because someone can just hear it if you're just reading it aloud? Is that still considered transcription strand? So that's all from the writing rope, Joan Sedita's work. So the work of constructing writing is not unlike that of reading, where the strands are a metaphor. We weave them together to make everything strong. And if a strand is frayed, we need to attend to it because that's where breakdown is. So the curriculum connections, when we look at the learning outcomes for grades 4, 5, and 6 in the new curriculum, in grade 6, students create texts that reflect personal voice and style through creative and critical thinking processes. Here's the thing. This would be assuming that students that come to you have been through those other pieces of the new curriculum. And we know they have not, because this come September will be their first year within that new curriculum. So you may not necessarily go right to that whole piece of personal voice, creative and critical thinking. You may need to back up a bit. So in grade 4, they're constructing and organizing texts, and they're developing creative expression. In grade 5, enhance the accuracy, and that should say, and artistry of expression through creative and critical thinking processes. So this is assuming in grade 6 they've already done that. They have, maybe to a certain extent. So we need to make sure that we might have to go back a little bit. So this is the part of the bridging document that is strictly focused on writing. Well, I shouldn't say strictly, writing and conventions. So it is part of what we're doing next week. But in the previous curriculum where you have students coming from, it says there are aspects of writing that were generally woven throughout the curriculum. And it wasn't necessarily directly addressed in the way that the new curriculum has. There are specific spelling patterns were not identified. It's not that they weren't done, it's just that they weren't as specific. So they might have talked about morphological awareness, but didn't identify specific patterns. So in grade 6 in the new curriculum, there is a lot about personal style, or personal voice and style, and building creativity and critical thinking processes. But the other thing is to look at what processes have been happening previously, and it's supposed to be the learnings that are integrated and built upon in grade 6. I would say that it's probably not going to be a great deal different than what you've already been experiencing as you've had grade 5s going to grade 6. You may need to just expand a little bit. The other thing that's mentioned, students require specific knowledge from the new K-5 curriculum related to grammar, punctuation, and spelling, well, spelling patterns. So you will find when we talk about conventions next week, they're very specific patterns, especially in morphological awareness, that are identified in grade 6. So again, there's the organizing ideas from all the grades. Most of them go straight across K-6, except for phonological awareness, phonics, and fluency. All right, so we're going to go into work on the Jamboard for the curriculum. So I learned yesterday in working with the grade 5 group that I needed to change things up a little bit. So what I've done, I'm going to have you, I'm not, because we don't have that many, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign you something to do so we're not all walking on top of each other. And I'm going to have 4 people do specific things, and then I'm going to ask one person to be the lookout. Aren't you lucky you want to be a lookout? All right, so we're not going to do the breakout room. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the understandings. So I've gone to the CUS, knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures, and I pulled out the 4 understandings that are noted in there. And then I'm going to have you look at them, and then I'm going to actually have you connect them to the correct knowledge and skills and procedures. Okay? And along the way, look at the verbs in the skills and procedures. So let's go to that if you haven't already. And I'm going to put that into the chat. Oh, there's the chat. So the link is there for you. And so I'm just going to check and make sure that I did the proper sharing. Yes, I did. So we've got 2 of you there. So we have a couple more people we're waiting on. I'm puppy sitting. So he's being very curious and wanted to come and say hello. Okay. Can I let go of you now? All right. Okay. Are we here? I think we've got everybody, all but one person. Let's go ahead. All right. So here's the first page. You're going to review the organizing idea, which is the same for K to 6, the guiding question, which is specific to grade 6, how is precise writing influenced by ongoing craft and process development? The learning outcomes specific, students create texts that reflect personal choice and style through creative and critical thinking processes. Now, here are the 4 understandings that I promised you. So here are the 4. They are not in order. So I'm going to just bypass that and show you. Here's page 6. These are the 2 knowledge and skills and procedures that go together. And here's the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. Your job is to go back to this page on page 5. I'm going to give you a number, and your job is to then click on it. If you do Control C, if you copy it, and then find the right page where the understanding belongs with the knowledge and the skills and procedures. Does that make sense? Clear as mud? Okay. All right. Now, I see that there's only 4 people in, so I'm not sure who hasn't logged in yet. Karen, you're in. So Karen, you can be number 1. Remember, these are not in order. I've just numbered them for your benefit. That doesn't mean number 1 goes on the first group. Could go anywhere. Charlene, can I get you to do number 2? Bonnie, are you with us? Maybe not. How about Kirsten?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you do number 3, please?
Certainly.
And Erica, could you do number 4?
Yep.
Okay. Vonnie may have opted not to because she did a very similar exercise with us yesterday for grade 5. So there you go. All right. So go ahead. You just do a Control C to copy it. So who's doing number 1? Karen, is that you? You moving it? Okay. Just carry on. I'll be the overseer. It's kind of straightforward, but then it's not straightforward. So it's hard to say. How are we doing? I can see Charlene's fingers just moving around. Some of them are pretty straightforward. Some of them are not. Oh, did I make an error? Hang on. Maybe I've made a mistake. I did. I did. I made a mistake. I doubled up on something. Okay, carry on and I'll fix it. I'm going to fix it. Goodness. Some things are just not being cooperative. I've got research processes in there twice. I did not pay close enough attention. Didn't I do that last week? Maybe I have a blind spot when it comes to grade 6. There it is. That's the one I made a mistake on. Easy enough to fix. Let me do that. Does that make a difference? I hope. Okay, who did number 1? Was that Karen? How did you do with that, Karen? Which one did it go to? What page?
It went to,
Do you have a page number on there?
yeah, page 7.
Page 7. Right, and then that's easy enough because creative thinking can enhance personal style and voice. And there's the knowledge of the what, and there's the skills and procedures on the how. All right. Number 2, written communication involves making choices to effectively convey messages.
I think it goes with page 9, but I couldn't copy and paste anything because I'm on an iPad.
Oh, okay. Well, I can do that for you. That was number 2. You said that went with page 9. What did we have? Who put that other one? So who did the writing can cultivate?
That was me.
Okay. So Kristen, would that belong somewhere else?
Well, I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay, well, let's go back because, you know,
'Cause
I
I
can make
didn't
mistakes now and again.
think it was the first one so much.
Writing can cultivate expression, problem solving, and critical thinking. Let's go back.
It will analyze. I guess that's critical thinking.
Create written text. So let's go back to, sorry, yours was number
3.
3. Cultivate problem solving and critical thinking. Let's take a peek. All right, I'm going to cut and paste it in there. Tell me what the rest of you think. Is that where it belongs? Or is it too hard to read? What do you think?
That's where it goes.
Yeah? Why do you think that?
Partly because I have the curriculum open in front of me.
You're cheating.
Were we not supposed to? You gave us the link to it and I had
I
it open.
know, but I said don't look. At least
Oh, I
thought
didn't
did.
hear you say that.
I
Sorry.
may not have. There are things that happen in my own mind that I have this conversation going on. So yes, it does go there. So it cultivate expression, problem solving, and critical thinking. So, you know, it's interesting. And you say that you went up to the curriculum. So I'm going to do that as well. So let's just take a peek. Here's the, I'm going to make that a bit bigger. There we go. All right, so there's the first one. Writing can cultivate expression, problem solving, and critical thinking. So it's doing that in order to express the ideas. In the second one, creative thinking can enhance personal style. So there's the create, I mean, it's right there, creative thinking processes. And then research processes. And then finally, when I finally got it correctly written communication can be created or enhanced, and so that connects to the understanding, making choices to convey messages. So the question becomes is what do you do with that? Like, what are you supposed to do now? Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me, heavens. So what about within the curriculum, the verbs? What's the purpose of the verbs? So let's go back and look at oops, it really popped over there, didn't it? When you look at the skills and procedures, take a look at the verbs that are used in skills and procedures. The idea and the conversation we've been having is using the verbs as part of the process of assessment, to create, to develop, to analyze, to express, to organize, and so on. Those are those verbs that you can use for assessment. Lots of the analyze and create in the grade 6 level, in the understanding of research processes, write to inform, research questions, main idea, summarize, organize, analyze, and it says access and use information ethically. What does that mean to you? Don't do what? Anybody? Charlene?
Plagiarize, I guess.
Don't plagiarize. And that was a really big point when they started talking about implementation of curriculum, is staying away from plagiarism. And so that was a really interesting point. So keep that in mind going along. And then we finally have, we've got to take out that one. Why do we have two here? Which one were we taking? We were taking away the cultivate expression, right? Yeah. So here, the skills and procedures for making choices to convey messages, experiment with methods, select a method, and demonstrate legibility. And the legibility is through the use of printing, cursive handwriting, or keyboarding. How often in grade 6 have you been spending time in cursive, teaching cursive writing? And so it was suggested yesterday with the grade 5s is, do we need to do this? I mean, traditionally, it has been done around grade 3. So do we need to go back to that? I think it was Vonnie who said yesterday that they had to go back to it in their district because they had students that could not sign cursively their signature on an application, for example. Sorry, Charlene, I just saw your message now that you couldn't copy it, so I apologize for that. So these are the things to look at in terms of curriculum. My suggestion, if this is helpful to you, is to take that document. You're welcome to just take it and use it as your own. please make a copy first on that Jamboard if that helps you to organize your thinking going forward. So planning
you're-
for next, sorry?
So you think we should be teaching cursive writing still? Like my students can't even read it when I write in cursive on the board.
I know. So that's the question. It's coming up that, let's go back to it. Come on. What it says again, that's the last one.
It says either, it doesn't say all three, it says through, but maybe it's interpretive as all three.
Well, the skills and procedures are demonstrate legibility and writing fluency through the use of printing, cursive writing, or keyboarding. Now it says or printing, cursive writing, or keyboarding. So I guess it comes down to from your professional judgment as to what is going to be the most effective for your students. If that is going back and looking at cursive writing, it's funny it says cursive handwriting because handwriting is cursive. So it's repetitive, just saying. It's a conversation maybe to have with your Division II peers and colleagues and decide, you know, what's your focus. So maybe you don't have to make that decision on your own, but have the conversation. It's a thought.
I just looked back, Kelly, and
Mhm.
it is grade 3 or grade 4. Use cursive handwriting to write text with appropriate letter formation, size, proportion, and slant. So I guess depending on how they did at that point, and your
So-
grade 6s maybe wouldn't have it. So I don't know. But grade 4 and grade 3, they are to be doing cursive.
Yes. So it depends in grade 6. Do you need to go back to that? And again, does it become the choice? So let's go back. When we look, let's see if I've got the right one here. Use cursive handwriting to write text. And yeah, apply keyboarding skills. So there's that. Let's go back to grade 3. Demonstrate fluency of one method or tool. Use cursive handwriting to write some text. It doesn't even say all, it just says some. And keyboarding skills. In grade 2, print. Appropriate letter or size, formation, spacing to enhance the clarity of a message. So it comes back to, is that something that we've been doing? Or has it just gone by the wayside? And then Alberta Ed said, you know what, we need to get back to it. It's considered a foundational skill. So when you get to grade 6 is maybe now you can choose one. But again,
My
Sorry,
other
go ahead.
question is, so it looks like keyboarding skills is in the language arts time.
yes,
So if your grade 6ers can't type, that's something in the language arts time frame.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I've been doing. They can't type very well. Well, they're better now, but yeah. I did take it out of my language arts time, but yeah.
and I think I don't know how specifically it's been indicated that in previous curriculum. Have you looked at the typing tutor one with the goat from the United Kingdom, the UK? I'll see if I can find it and add it in. Yeah, I mean, it is one thing that now that you mention it, I haven't added it in. Workbook called Canadian Handwriting from Erica transitions from printing to handwriting in grade 3, and it provides levels all the way to grade 6. I'll make sure that I add that into our resources here along with that particular typing program that I was talking about.
Handwriting
yeah.
without tears is another good one that has printing.
Handwriting without tears is good. It's not meant so much past Division
Right.
1, but
Well,
here.
they've got a cursive component,
Yes, they do.
and they do have keyboarding too.
Oh, I didn't see the keyboarding part of it.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty sure they
excellent.
do.
Make sure, can you put that into the chat as well? And I'll make sure I add those in. Okay, so the planning for the year, we're looking at using grade 5. Sorry, that should say grade 6. But here is the link. It doesn't want to connect. Why not? There we go, because it was on the first word, not the end. So this is the template. Make a copy of it, please, and then you can, well, it's just reviewing anyways. So we'll scroll down to the writing. And so last time what I'd done is I'd written these all out. I decided not to do that this time. I thought it was just too repetitive. Come on, it's got to go a long ways down. There, it's after comprehension. Okay, so there's the writing. There it is. So remember anything, and this will be a bit different in grade 6, like in grade 5. Not all of the knowledge is identified in the whole term. So in the understanding, writing can cultivate expression, problem solving, and critical thinking. These parts, the writing processes, planning, down to organizational structures, that piece is in term 1. The part in term, the rest of it in term 2, the sentence length and variety and so on, is focused on in term 2. Doesn't mean you can't do it in term 1, but this is just an example of how you can organize for learning. And so that's in term 2. So as we go up and look, then the skills and procedures in both aren't identified. It's not to say that they're never there, they're just not identified. So in term 1, sorry, I'm going to go back up. The second understanding, creative thinking. There's that part of creative thinking processes and the products from that in term 1. And then the next part, words can create effects or emphasis in term 2. And that goes on a bit to tone as well. The third understanding, research processes, look at both knowledge and skills and procedures in term 2. Again, not to say it can't be done in term 1 if that's your choice to do. These are just suggestions on how you can organize. The final understanding written communication. This is the whole printing and keyboarding, cursive handwriting. The knowledge and skills and procedures are throughout the entire year. Oh, I went into convention. Sorry, this is still writing here. So taking a look at the skills and procedures, my wonder is, sorry, for the first 2 understandings, I don't see why you couldn't highlight that for skills and procedures for both term 1 and term 2. So in this document, they've chosen not to do that. So I don't think I can do it either, because I'm just a viewer as well, because this just came to me. Let's see if I can. Oh, son of a gun, I did it. All right, so, oh, it's funny. Oh, maybe because I'm the owner, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. All right, so I'm going to highlight the skills and procedures where it wasn't done before, because I think it should be. I think it could be, let's put it that way, for the full year. What do you think? Is that agreeable? So I'm going to do that for you. And you can decide whether that's relevant to you or not. Because again, some of these skills and procedures work with all of them, all of their knowledge. But again, in the first one, the knowledge is only half of it in the first term, half of it in the second term. But then the skills and procedures can come in at any time and connect with that. So I don't think it's unreasonable. Did I miss anything? Okay. All right. Any questions about the planning document? All right. So
Can you put
Other-
that in the, can you put that in the link again in the chat? The
Which?
planning document link?
oh, well, you'll get it.
Oh. All right,
You'll- Yeah, you'll get it. I could do that.
that's okay. You don't need to if it's going to come to me later.
Yeah, it will. It'll come to you.
Okay.
So what are the biggest takeaways? What are the things that you need to focus on? What you think you need to focus on? So let's just think about that because it's going to be different for everybody. So did you bring any resources to share? Anybody? Anybody at all? Any thoughts? Any wonders? All right, so what I'm going to do, just in the interest of time here, look at that, it just went right away from me. Okay, I'm going to add in handwriting without tears. Forgot how to spell handwriting for a minute. I'm going to take the link. You've got two links there, Karen. Is the second one, it says login. Do we need that?
That one is a link for the keyboarding without tears because I couldn't find it within the
Oh,
other
yes, of
link.
course. Okay.
Yeah, so
Handwriting
that one has the
without
keyboard.
tears. Got it. Okay. Handwriting without tears. All right. And then the next one was, is it called keyboarding without tears?
Mhm.
All right. And I will take that one out of the chat. Come on. Come on. There we go. Better check that. Yeah, there we go. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Karen.
This is a good one that I haven't used many, but I've used some of her strategies in here. Lessons That Change Writers by Nancy Atwell.
Oops. Hang on.
And then the Jennifer Saravella one too.
I have that one.
Yeah.
Lessons That Change Writers.
Lessons That Change Writers by Nancy Atwell. Okay, and somehow there's a PDF here. I'm not sure what that's all about, but oops, that's not the right one. Okay, so I'll put that link in.
All right. Anyone else have something that they want to share? And that's fine if you don't. Thank you for sharing that. If you come up with something and you think, oh, I should have mentioned this, email me and I'll try to get it into the slides before I send them out. All right, so ones that have come up in the last few days that some people particularly liked were these lessons that focus on ideas, organization, word choice, sentence fluency, voice, and conventions. So this is from the daily six trait writing. This one, you can get this on Amazon. Where did it go? There we go. Oh, I have to flip that again. Okay, so then I've included some specifics on the writing rope, the Joan Fedida work. And she focuses on those 5 fundamentals: critical thinking, syntax, text structure, writing craft, and transcription. And one of the reasons I find her work so very important is how it aligns well with the curriculum, and that you can go in and look at those chapters. So here are the specific chapters in her book, the framework. And then it goes into transcription skills, writing craft, critical thinking, and that goes through the whole writing process. And that is that link that was so very important in the beginning in organizing for writing. Syntax and sentence skill, big thing. Paragraph skills, the 3 types of writing, where she talks about, and I'll show you this on the next couple of pages, I think it is. Like informational writing, for example, is one type. Writing a summary, and then text, critical thinking from text sources. Is there something about the writing rope that you think might be really helpful? Think about it, and if something comes to you, please let me know. We can share. I wanted to highlight again something we highlighted from comprehension about prior knowledge and background knowledge. Prior knowledge about the topic at hand is like mental Velcro. I mention that because, and I mention it again, I'm repeating myself, and this talks in terms of comprehension. But we talked about the importance of background knowledge when you're writing. You write from what you know. We always say that to kids, write about what you know. And so when we get to research writing, they're like, well, I don't know anything. And that's where you focus on the research so they can write what they know. I wanted to share this with you because I find it's a particularly important framework for sharing with kids about writing, because it's, well, I should say sharing for kids who struggle with writing, in expository writing in particular, is the 5-paragraph essay. And the model is similar to a previous model that was used with the hamburger, where you put the meat of everything inside. But it's more a framework, really goes with tell them what you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them again. And that builds with the introduction, tell them. So you're going to say, I'm going to write about hockey. And hockey is a wonderful sport and everybody should play it. But to play a good game of hockey, you need to know the rules, you need to know the equipment, and you need to get along as teammates. So that's the introduction. And so the first paragraph is whatever I said. Did I say rules first? Whichever I said first, I'm not even paying attention. So the first paragraph is about the rules. The rules are hockey. The rules of hockey are very important. First, you have to be able to stay or not do an offside, and And the student talks about the rules of hockey. Then you talk about, in the third paragraph, the equipment of hockey and how it's important for safety and what pieces you need. And then finally, how to get along with your teammates in the third paragraph. Now, the conclusion, the final paragraph, is tell them again. You're basically having the student paraphrasing or repeating the first paragraph. And that's a 5-paragraph model. And my experience with it has been with students who have learning disabilities, who have struggled a great deal with writing, and giving them this as a framework, as a beginning framework, really made a huge difference, because then they knew how to structure their writing. There's another one that is the, oh, I didn't write it down in here, is the SPOT strategy. And in the SPOT strategy, I'm writing that down so I remember to add it. Students are meant to write for a narrative or a story, where it's the setting, which includes characters or setting characters and introducing the main character. And then P is for the problem the main character has to solve. The O is for order of events and the things the main character has to do to solve the problem. And the T is tail end. So that is another framework for struggling writers. Keeping in mind, it's not that you can't do it with everyone, but we don't want to leave capable writers with this. We want them to expand on it, but absolutely. We want them to expand and to become that more creative. But those who struggle need a framework to work with. The Writing Strategies book, this one right here, Jennifer Saravello. This is how she organizes her work, is in a hierarchy of writing goals, possible writing goals, composing with pictures, building engagement, generating ideas. That's part of that writing process. Creating a focus, and then looking at the organization and structure of the writing with elaboration, word choice, conventions, and grammar. And so the bottom one is partnerships and clubs, and that's like that extra step for those who want to do that kind of thing. So her book looks at more specific lessons to, for example, I want to, whoops, I'm just opening up. This is strategies for generating and collecting ideas. And then there'll be lessons, individual lessons to focus on that. So it's not like the writing room where you go through most of the chapters. This is more, a little bit more cherry picking, if you like, strategies. This is a great resource on using a smartboard to work through sentence structure. So as this opens, you see on the left here the age levels, and then it looks, let's say it's just for argument's sake, age 6 and 7. And it will, oh, that did not go where it was supposed to go. Sentence scramble, crafting sentences, parts of a sentence. If you need your English language learners or lower writers to spend more time there. Then if you look at, let's say, ages 10 and 11, subject and predicate, parts of speech, and you might have to go through a little bit, but you can go more specifically to resource types, activities, assessments, and so on. So there's lots of interesting things that you can get on your smartboard to work with kids on writing. I added back in here so you wouldn't forget about Rewordify. So you type in text and it changes the word, the readability. the simple English that you would find when you're working with kids on research, that you can change the level of reading within that. Do you remember that from last week? Good. Google Translate can also be helpful. And don't forget that May 25th, we're meeting back together to talk about conventions and that whole morphology piece. Any questions or wonders? Look, we went through that so quickly because I decided to leave a piece out, which is good because, yay. Any questions or wonders or things you thought of you'd like to share? Well, let me know if there's anything else you need in the meantime, and then I'll send out the slides and the recording.